I want my gas gauge to work. I've tried many times to fix my old one. I put this wire on here, but originally this was a piece of copper that went up here, a copper spring, but it turned to dust. So I put a wire, but the gauge is just doesn't work good. It does read, but because of this, it's just springy. It doesn't want to just float like it's supposed to. A replacement sending unit for this 240SX is now about $800. This isn't the original one. I actually bought this one around the time I first got the car because the gas gauge didn't work, and it was like $125. They don't make them anymore, so all you have is new old stock, and the prices have gotten outrageous. Like I said, $800. However, I did find one company that still makes an aftermarket one, and it's Frenchie's Performance Garage in Australia. So I ordered their kit. Now, their kit isn't a direct drop-in replacement like this. It doesn't attach to this whole structure. What you get is you get this little bracket. You get this sending unit, which the actual board in here is the same from a Pathfinder, and it would be $25. So you could literally find a way to mount it to this here and replace the OEM one with a $25 part. This was substantially more. It wasn't $800, it was about 150 bucks, I think. I'll put a link in the description or here in the video to the actual page. But it comes with this little mount, and what this does, come in here, is it clips onto that little rim that goes around where the fuel pump sits in, and holds on to that sending unit separately. And then they give you some wires. You know, it's got a new plug on it so that you can pull the fuel pump out without removing the sending unit, which is really nice because it's a pain in the neck wiggling this through that little hole. But it didn't come with directions, so I know that the black wire here is going to be ground, so I'm going to make another little ground strap here to splice into this connector they provide you with. This yellow wire here goes to the other side of the circuit board, and on here I'm assuming this is the blue wire. So I'm just going to splice this into the new harness here they give you. They give you these two short little wires, which will probably work okay, but I want a little bit more room with the plug so I can pull this up and out before I unplug it, just to get it out of the way and make my life easier anytime I have to take this out. And I know I'm going to have to do that in the future, simply because there's a lot of rust in my tank. I'm going to have to drop it, clean it out, and give it a couple coats of red coat, just to keep the ethanol from eating out any worse. It doesn't have holes, it doesn't leak, but that's another part I can't get a replacement for. So I'm going to want to take it down, drop it, clean it out. Like I said, give it a coat of red coat. I might do that this winter, just to keep it lasting longer. So I'm going to get to getting this wired up, and we'll see how the gauge does. Alrighty, I got the new connector wired up here. I just spliced a wire on there, ran them up here, tied them up so the connector will actually be up here out of the way. I soldered on the little metal pins to the wires and put the connector here together. I put a little heat shrink over the ends. And so now, before I fully install this, I'm going to actually plug this back in, put power back to the car, and I'm going to manually move that float while watching the gas gauge to see how close to accurate it is. Alright, so more fun. After installing this to test it, you'll notice it looks a little different. It's because the scale is backwards. It reads full at, I believe, like 55 ohms, and empty is 5 ohms, and need to be the opposite. Now, I didn't think about this before I went and did what I did, but this bracket allows you to mount it either way, upside down, right side up. And I probably could just flip it upside down and mount it in the bracket, but I didn't know that. It didn't come with directions. So initially I tried just bending that back the way it is now, because originally it was like that. I don't know if you can see that. I tried bending this the opposite way and it snapped right off. So I duplicated this little piece of wire. I have a handle from a can of paint, and I reversed it that way. Like I said, in hindsight, if it would have came the directions, I would have known I could have just mounted it upside down and gotten it to read properly. But that's neither here nor there. I've made my new little arm. It works. I tested it. It goes completely empty, completely full. So now I'm going to get this mounted in. And, well, since I had to make my own arm here anyways, knowing that you can do that, I will link to this little piece here. They sell the same exact one for, I think it's a Pathfinder. And if you want to, you can modify it. You can mount it in place of this instead of spending so much on this kit. Or you can even make your own wire like I did. You can shape it or even use the original here. I believe this would work if you wanted to mount this in the original location on the sending unit. And for like 30 bucks, you'd have a working gas gauge too. So, let me get this put in and see how it works.